Hello filmmakers and film fans. Welcome to GP2 Academy's very first video. I've been talking about doing this for such a long time because I'm passionate about the industry. I love films. I love making films, writing films, as I'm sure you do as well. So please, very first thing, smash like, subscribe, because we'll have a lot more content coming. Today is going to be an introduction on screenwriting principles and log lines. And for those of you who stay at the end, I'm going to have a little bit of a secret thing that I started using when I didn't know how to start with characterization. First of all, why should I be teaching you anything? Who am I? What do we do? So I'm the CEO of GP2 Entertainment, an award-winning filmmaker and screenwriter, producer, director, and casting director. I'm director of AFIN International. I'm an A-class international film festival right here in Brisbane, Queensland, Australia. I have a feature film in post right now, Jiva, which is signed for global sales. And we have a string of short films in various stages of production. Let's talk about log lines. And this is so important. I get asked all the time. People say, Peter, can you have a look at my screenplay? Can you have a look at my film idea? Can you make my film? And ideas are great. What that needs is structure. It doesn't have to be rigid, it doesn't have to be a certain way, but there's certain elements that are essential to what is a good story and why a film should be made. How do you know if your film is on track, if your story is on track, if what you're writing is compelling? What I like to tell people to do is to break down a log line into one sentence. I know it sounds ridiculous, don't freak out. One sentence, what is your film about? Now, if you can't do that, I'm gonna help you to do that. First of all, do you have a protagonist? That's number one. Does it have to be a person? Not necessarily. What is the active verb? What are they actually trying to do? That's number two. And what is the active goal, which is a big number three, right connected to that? The reason for that is there has to be a compelling driver for the film and for the storyline, for the characters that we're following. Why they're doing what they do. Being a victim of circumstances is not good enough. If it's a storyline that's just, I need to go see my grandmother for the weekend and something happens, well, okay, it better be very amazing because it's not that interesting, right? It has to be compelling. Part of that is the antagonist, okay? What's trying to stop you? What's in your way? And the stakes, what happens if things go wrong? And I see a lot of stories that, have great characterization, but there's nothing there for things to go wrong. For example, say, someone's depressed. Okay, now depression is a real thing. I'm 100% behind that. However, depression by itself is not an interesting objective. It's not something that we can really get behind as an audience. It could be part of a characterization, personality traits of someone that we follow. But if that person's trying to kill themselves and the ultimate goal is survival and then not much happens while we're watching a documentary. There is a big difference between narrative and non-narrative films, and narrative films need intention and obstacle. And intention and obstacle are key paramounts to drama. Now, Hollywood has its formula, 3-act structure, very clear, usually the good guy always wins, or good woman, whoever it might be, as we know. Superhero genre's been doing that very successfully for, 20 years now. However, do you walk out of that film surprised? So definitely do encourage you to challenge the status quo, things that have already been done. What are you bringing to the film, to the genre that hasn't been done before? Now, it could be a twist. I know people like original films can't be made anymore. That's not true. Original films definitely can be made, and the originality can be in how you deliver the storyline. It could be the twist, but it certainly needs to be there. It could be an element, could be environmental, could be character-driven. It's okay if you've started to come up with an idea and you don't have all these elements in place. It's okay if your antagonist isn't a person. It could be a much greater thing, but it has to be compelling, it has to be driven, and every page of your script has to drive that story forward, drive your protagonist towards the goal, and drive conflict. I especially love to deliver things differently, surprise the viewer. You don't have to do that, but make sure that the elements are in place. Now, there are many good examples of log lines. A really simple one. A reluctant rich billionaire must overcome his fears to defeat evil for his city. Right? If you break it down to those elements, they are all there. Before you write your script, before you get on set have these elements in place. There is nothing more expensive than when you're on the set and everyone's working, and every minute, every hour, and I'm going to talk about this another time in terms of how to plan properly and effectively use that time, to be wasted because the storyline wasn't strong enough. Don't write anything that you can't see on screen. Too many times I see screenplays that tell me how someone's feeling, or describe the inner thoughts of a character. Now, unless you're going to show that, right, unless we can see it in the frame, it does not need to be in your screenplay, right? Dialogue needs to be sharp, razor sharp, to the point, can be poetic, but nobody wants to hear a conversation of, hello, how are you? I'm great, thank you. It doesn't belong in a screenplay. Dialogue in itself is a whole separate episode, so I won't dive too deep into that. If you get those foundations right, the next stages of screenplay planning, where you take it to a treatment, you then take that treatment, you break it out into your scenes, you find the inciting incident, then you start writing out your scenes, you have your characterization. Get this right. Okay, you cannot build a house on rocky foundations. It will all crumble down. If it doesn't crumble down instantly for you and you think you got some great scenes in there, you'll find out in editing, or you'll find out in results from festivals, and there's nothing more frustrating than making something that you end up binging or you end up embarrassed with. We've all done it. I have certain videos that I don't want to see daylight ever again. We all do. Get your foundations correct. Get your log line spot on. If you don't have that and you made your first draft, analyze your log line, see what's missing, edit it. If that doesn't work and it's still not there, don't go ahead and make the film. Start again. Bring back your log line, keep your old script there to refer to your favorite scenes, be able to pull in. It's okay. It's okay to start again. It's okay to revise, right? Generally speaking, from myself, I will revise a script continually, to much frustration of much of my cast and crew, but that's what you need to do. You need to polish from your planning, from your read-throughs, from things that you find out, from recce, set design, everything. You're going to change things in your script and you'll come up with ideas. It's okay to be flexible, but make sure your foundation is correct. Make sure you give it to people to read to ensure that you're happy with the script and where it's at. If your storyline isn't strong enough, don't make the film. Wait until you feel very confident about that storyline. These days, I can get there myself off a first or second draft, but that's taken me about 12 years of writing experience to be able to do that. It's okay to feel frustrated and not be able to get there straight away. That's what practice is for. That's what that revision is for. So for those of you who've stuck around, when I first started writing, I wrote novels. And at that time, my biggest struggle was working at characterization. So how do you work out your character's traits, how they move, how they talk, what makes them an individual? Some people love to write massive sheets, and that works for them. My own cheat sheet for that, where I started, is I start to cast those roles. So I'd have my characters, and you would literally pick a celebrity or someone you know very well, you've seen in films a lot, then the traits, how they move, and you cast that person in that role. And then when you're writing that script, it will evolve from there, but it gives you a starting point to flesh out that character in your mind. And you'll find that you'll end up with a different casting half the time, but it gets you started, it gets you over the line. So I would normally have like a sheet of, here's my characters, here's who I see them at. These days, I don't need that, but it might work for you. To revise, logline information, make sure it's right. Take that forward. Once you have those things in place, it's like a map, okay? If you don't know where you're going, you will get lost very quickly. It'll be a mess, it'll be chaos. That's not how good films are made. Yet you do have ad lib, you do have things that happen on set, but those things happen when the environment is safe and people feel like they're in a position of a quality film. If you're making a film that doesn't feel like quality, your actors won't be happy to be there, your crew won't be happy to be there. They're gonna get frustrated, and that'll come straight through on camera, that'll come through in delivery, and you can't edit that. You can't fix that in post. So get these things right, make great films. Comment your questions. I'd love to know what you want to know about screenwriting and log lines and structure of films and what you're struggling with. and I'm happy to give you some tips on that. Future episodes, I'll talk about a lot more areas in greater detail and planning, direction, everything. Keep your eye out. Make sure you smash that like, subscribe button, and more information will be coming to you.